ganhar ibope. Senta no revólver que posto no TikTok. Que é sucesso tu vai ganhar, que é mídia tu vai ganhar. Pra você ter que fazer.
Have you ever wondered why two different companies can both have stocks, but investors can completely have a different reason for buying them? One investor might buy a stock because the company is growing very quickly. Another might buy a stock because the company regularly pays dividends. And another might buy a stock because they believe the company is currently undervalued. So, are all the stocks the same? Absolutely not. Today we are going to look at the major types of stock you should understand as a beginner investor. Welcome back to the lesson. If you are learning about the stock market from the beginning, this is an important topic because when you understand the different type of stock, you start to understand why different investors choose different companies. So let's get into it. Number one is the common stock. So when we are talking about the common stock, when most people talk about buying shares of a company, they are usually talking about common shares. When you own common shares, you generally have an ownership interest in the company. Depending on the company structure and the rights attached to the shares, shareholders may have voting rights. And if the company declares dividends for common shareholders, they may receive a portion of those dividends. But there is something important to understand. Owning a stock doesn't guarantee that you make money. The price can go up, but it can also go down. That's why understanding the company before investing is so important. Number two, we have the preferred stocks. Next is the preferred stocks. So in preferred, the preferred shares are different from common shares. They often have potential rights concerning dividends or what happens to the shareholders' claims if a company is liquidated. However, preferred shares may have limited or no voting right compared with common shares, depending on their terms. Think of it as a different type of ownership with a different set of rights. So don't assume that every shares a company issues give investors exactly the same benefit. And the number three, we have the growth stocks. Let's talk about this. This is where things become interesting. A growth stock is generally a company that investors expect to grow its revenue, profit, or cash flow significantly in the future. For example, imagine a company currently makes 10 billion naira in annual revenue, but investors believe that because the company is expanding rapidly, it could eventually generate 50 billion. Investors may be willing to pay a higher price today because they are buying based on partly on future growth expectations. Growth companies often reinvest a significant portion of their earnings into the business rather than paying large dividends. But remember, high growth stock doesn't guarantee returns. If the company growth disappoints investors, the stock price can fall significantly. And in the number four, we have the value stocks. Now let's look at the value stocks. A value investor is basically asking, is this company worth more than what the stock market is currently pricing it at? Imagine you believe a company shares are worth 1,000 naira based on your analysis, but the market price is at 700 naira. You might consider the stock potentially undervalued. The goal is to buy at a reasonable price and potential benefit if the market eventually recognizes the company's value. But here is the important part. A cheap stock isn't automatically a value stock. Sometimes a stock is cheap because the company has serious problems. So you need to investigate why the stock is cheap. Number five, outcome or dividend stock. Now let's talk about something many investors love: dividends. Some companies regularly distribute part of their profit to shareholders. These companies can be attractive to investors who want income from their investment. For example, if you own 1,000 shares and the company declares a dividend of 5 naira per share, your gross dividends would be 1,000 naira times 5. That is equal to 5,000. But don't buy a company simply because it has a high dividend yield. You also need to ask, can the company actually afford to keep paying the dividends? That's something we'll study more deeply when we get into our dividends lesson. In number 6, we have the blue chip stocks. You have probably heard somebody talking about blue chip stocks. Blue chip companies are generally large and established business with strong reputation and long operating histories. They may have established brands, substantial revenue, and relative mature businesses. However, remember, blue chip doesn't mean risk-free. Even large, well-established companies can experience falling profits, declined share price, or other problems. In the number 7, we have the penny stock. Now, be very careful with this one. Penny stocks are generally referred to very low price shares, although that exact definition can differ between markets. People are sometimes attracted to them because they think this stock is only 2 naira. If it reaches 20 naira, I'll make a huge profit. But the price of a share alone doesn't tell you whether it's cheap. A 2 naira stock can be more expensive relative to the company's actual value than a 2,000 naira stock. Penny stocks can also have lower liquidity and higher risks, so never judge a company simply by looking at its share price. Number 8, we have the cyclical stocks. These are companies whose businesses can be strongly affected by the economic cycle. When the company is doing well, their shares and profits may increase. When the economy becomes weak, their performance may suffer. Example can include companies connected to areas such as automobile, construction, commodities, and other economically sensitive industry. The important thing is to understand how the company industry respond to the economy. Finally, we have defensive stocks. That is in number 9. They are companies whose products or services may continue using even when the economy is struggling. Think about things people need regardless of whether the economy is becoming or slowing down. For example, food, basic household products, essential healthcare service. People still need many of these things during difficult economic periods. That's why defensive businesses can sometimes be more resilient due to economic downturns. So which type of stock is the best? Here is the important thing. There is no single best type of stock for everyone. You choose your choice depends on your investment goals, your risk tolerance, your time horizon, your financial situation, the quality of the company, the price you are paying. A growth investor may prioritize future expansion. A dividends investor might prioritize consistent income. A valued investor may search for companies trading below their estimated worth. And some investors may combine several approaches. So let's quickly recap. Common stock, the standard form of company ownership for many investors. Preferred stocks, shares with special rights that can differ from common shares. Growth stocks, companies expected to grow significantly. Value stocks, companies that may be trading below an investor's estimate of their intrinsic value. Income or dividend stock, companies that can provide shareholders with dividends income. Blue chip stock, a large established companies. Penny stocks, generally very low price shares with potential higher risks. Cyclical stocks, businesses whose performance can strongly be influenced by the economic cycle. Defensive stock, business whose demand can be relatively resilient during economic downturn. And remember this, don't buy a stock just because it belongs to a particular category. A growth stock can fall, a dividend stock can cut its dividends, a blue chip company can struggle, and a cheap looking stock can become even cheaper. The category is only the beginning. The real work is analyzing the company. And that is it for today's lesson. Now you understand that stocks aren't all the same. The different companies can serve different investment purposes. In our next lesson, we are going to move from understanding different type of stock to something very practical. How do you actually buy and sell a stock? If you are learning with me step by step, make sure you follow the page because we are building the knowledge from the ground up. I'll see you in the next lesson.